Hey guys, it's Ted with the Triple T&L Railroad. I wanted to do a video today to show you my conversion from on the usatrains body mount coupler, USA coupler that it comes with, to a Kadee 906 coupler. I'm also going to do that with the usatrains intermodal cars, and those are truck mounted hook and loop couplers, which I do not use. So let's start with the usatrains autorack cars. And the first thing I did was I came over here with the Kadee couple gauge, and if you flip this around and bring it over, you can see that it's too high. Well, first let me show you. As it comes out of the box, a usatrains autorack car comes like this. Okay, this is what it comes with. It also comes with a metal bracket that is like this. Okay. So the first thing you do, you put this on the track, you bring up your height gauge, and you'll find out that this coupler is way too low. Okay, so to remedy that, usatrains thought, well, we'll do away with this whole thing, which is held on by 4 screws. You simply take out these 4 screws, you drop this off, and what you're left with is something like this. All right. So your box has been taken off, and your USA coupler's been taken loose. So what they want you to do now to gain some of that height back is they want you to take your usatrains coupler. They want you to put it back on there like so, and squeeze these little tabs in so they fit right in those little grooves. That gives you your spring action. And then they give you this plate, and you want to install it right over those holes, okay, like so. And then, you know, they think that's going to fix the problem, but it doesn't. What that does then is it raises it up around 80 thousandths of an inch. So it's a little bit too high when you set it up against your coupler gauge. So this does you no good with a 906 coupler, Kadee coupler. And if you're going to use Kadees, I say go with all Kadees, so this isn't going to do you any good either. So I put those out of the way, and I'm going to set this back over here. Now, a 906 coupler is a very easy coupler to use. Basically, you've got your little box, you got your coupler. Okay, it's got the groove so it'll slide back and forth. And you got your top. And it comes with several springs in case you lose one. But basically all you do is you take your coupler like so. You put it in like that. You take your spring very easily and gently, but carefully. I usually hold it in place like that. And then you want to be very careful with this because if that spring comes out, it'll jump clear across the room. That's why they give you 3 or 4 springs. All right, so when you're done, your spring is in. Now this top here, it's got a little lip on it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's got a little lip. The lip faces towards the coupler and away from the coupler. So you just kind of take that, put it in place, and it snaps in, but it's not a secure fit. So I mean, you don't want to, you know, be too rough with it. All right, so that's your 906 body mount coupler. All right, so let's get the car and put it back up there. Okay, so this is the car we're going to use. As you can see, I've taken the original mounting piece off with the coupler. There's no coupler on it. All right. And what I'm going to do is, or what I did, was I took the coupler, the 906 coupler, I brought it up here. That little lip, if you can see it, on top of the coupler, it can slide all the way back and rest against the frame of the car, but I felt that was too far in and it was kind of constricting the movement of the coupler, so I brought it out a little bit more. Okay, and you can use a measuring ruler from I think usatrains makes one, maybe Kadee might make one. It's like a micrometer. It can measure things in thousandths of an inch. And basically what you do is you find out what your center is from here to here. Go ahead and put you a mark so you know where your center is. And you go ahead and you figure out what the distance is where you want to set your coupler. Too far in, too far out, just right. And what I did was, once I got it exactly where I wanted it, I took a permanent marker, fine tip, and I outlined exactly where that coupler is going to fit. I went ahead and I drilled my hole right through the center here and mounted my coupler. And when I mounted my coupler and set it back down on top of the track and went to it with the height gauge, I found out that it was still, the coupler itself sat up too high. So what I had to do was provide shims in order to bring the coupler back down to where it should be. So what I did, let me set this back down. I had ordered some polystyrene sheets from Amazon a while back. So all I had was 10 thousandths of an inch, 20 thousandths of an inch, and 40 thousandths of an inch thickness. What I found out, and I'm sure you can probably order it in 80 or 90 thousandths of an inch, but I wanted to go ahead and try this and see how it worked. And I've done my research on it, and polystyrene, if you use certain types of material or cements, it will actually fuse or mold the styrene together. It's not just gluing it, it's actually kind of melting it together so it becomes one. And I took two 40 thousandths of an inch of styrene, and what I did, this is the sheet here, okay. I knew I was going to have several of these to do, so I just took it and I took the top of the 906 coupler, I put it in place, and I outlined it with a fine tip permanent marker, and I outlined where the center hole would be, the mounting hole. And I did this one, and I came down and I did another one down here. I took a ruler and measured it straight across, and that way I know it's exactly right. And then I went through and just copied the top of my 906, not the whole coupler, just the top of it, so it was easier. And I did each one of them just like it. And the way you do this is you just take your ruler out, you lay it across there so you have a straight edge, and you take your razor blade and you score it a couple of times. And then I went back and I scored it across each one of these once or twice. And with styrene, you just kind of bend it and it'll break. It just pops in a nice clean line. And then once you get this part broken and snapped off, you can go back in, take the individual ones and just snap them off, clean them up a little bit, maybe with some sandpaper or razor blade. So I took several of those last night and I glued them together. So you're looking at, that's 80 thousandths of an inch right there. I went ahead and drilled my holes out. I drilled them out so they're a little bit bigger than what the screw is that comes with the Kadee coupler. And what I'm going to do anyway, is I'll take the top of this and I'm going to put it in place. I'll bring this all the way up to where that lip is right here. And I'm going to glue it together. And I've done some research online and I bought some stuff on Amazon called Plastic Fusion. And it's an epoxy, two-part epoxy. The directions on it says, basically to roughen up both surfaces, which I've done. Top of the Kadee box and both surfaces of this. I'm going to bond this together and let it dry. And then once that's dry, I'm going to take it and mount it to the underside of this truck or this car. I'll basically put it in place where I have the, and it's not on this car, I've done it on other ones, where I've had it outlined from yesterday and exactly where my center hole would be, which I have it right between this and this. That way I get enough clearance out here to the front. So basically it's gonna be like so. Okay, so I'm gonna set this one aside and then I'm gonna show you the finished part. And I don't think they make styrene in different colors, like black, for instance, but you can paint styrene, so that's not a big deal. So this is what it looks like when it's done. You can kind of see maybe where I outlined everything. You can see the two pieces of 40 thousandths of an inch styrene put together. I'm holding this in with one screw. This hasn't been glued either. This is just in there temporary. Okay, so let's put this on the track. So this is a very easy Kadee conversion. So if you look at it now, you can see that they are the right height. This car is still a tad too tall. So really, I think the proper width should be 90 thousandths. So if you can go on Amazon or your local hobby shop and find 90 thousandths of an inch styrene, I think that would probably be your best bet. But that's close enough for me. I may decide to order some more 90 thousandths because I have other cars I want to do. So that's all there is to the auto rack. Let's set it aside. And let's talk about your intermodal cars. Now the intermodal cars, they come with hook and loop couplers. And the first thing you want to do with the hook and loop coupler is you want to take the hook and loop coupler off if you're going to go with any other kind of coupler, knuckle coupler. And as I said, I want to use the 906 body mount. So basically all you do is let's see if I can find it here. This mounts on there like so. Okay, that's the way it mounts. That's the way it sits on the car. All you do is you flip the whole car upside down. You take your hook right here and you slide it to the side, and you take your screw out right here. Once the screw is out, this whole piece will come off. Okay. Then you flip your car back around just like it sits on the track, and you take what I use as a Dremel, and I take and come right across here with a Dremel and cut this whole lip off. All right. So when you're done, you can put this back on the track. You can set this back down on top of it where it fits right in the mounting hole. All right. You bring over your height gauge. You turn it around this way. Technically, the way these things work is the flatness of this should come up to the rolling stock, and that should be where this should line up. So it should be basically flush with this. If you can find the flushness of this on this car, that's where you want to mount this to. And if it's not flush, then you're going to have to do something to this car to make it where it is. So I brought this back up here, and as you can see, it's right in the middle of this groove right here. So that's not good. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take and get rid of this part, this lower part right here. So what I did was I took the car back off. I took the screw and washer off right here, and I removed the truck and set it aside, and I looked at what I had. Okay, you've got a flush part here, flattened surface, that you could take and you can mount your Kadee to. It would mount right there. And by the way, people, this stuff from usatrains is ridiculously put together. So you're going to want to come through and add some kind of a glue, whether it's a permanent glue or whether it's hot glue. They're very fragile, especially if you use a Dremel on this stuff. The vibrations things will just fall off. The pins up here, you might want to put a dab of glue or something there, some CA glue or something to hold those in, because everything's going to fall off. They're just very delicately made. So back to this, what I did was I took the top off of my 906 Kadee coupler. I slid this all the way to the back. I figured out exactly where I wanted it, and as far as the center of the car, and then I put my lines, I drew lines here and here. And what that does is it tells me where I need to cut this out, which is this lower piece, okay? And then once you cut that off, you're going to want to bring this piece here and slowly grind or file it off to where it's flush with this. All right, and I did that. And for the fusion glue that I'm using, or epoxy, it tells you that the surfaces should be scuffed. So I scuffed this section up here. I did the same thing I did with the other autorack car. Once I had this cut out, I put the whole coupler on there, and I outlined it very gently with a fine tip permanent marker, and I outlined where my mounting screw hole would be. And when I was done with that, I'll show you the finished product. Okay, this car took the same two 40,000ths of an inch piece of styrene. I put two of them together, it's 80,000ths of an inch. And what I've done is I've mounted it in place. You can see here where I cut that bracket out so it would fit. I cut it out on this side, and using the Dremel, I very gently filed this piece right here down at the yellow part of the car to where it meets this surface. This is the one I just got finished doing. So you can see it scuffed up. You can see where I outline where the coupler would go. Okay, that way I maintain all my clearances. All right, and you can see where I had originally circled this, but now it's drilled out. That's where your hole will mount up. Okay, and this is what it looks like again when it's finished. All right, it's completely mounted up. Let's put this on the track. That's two 40,000ths of an inch thickness pieces of styrene, and like I said, you can go with 80,000ths of an inch or 90,000ths of an inch. But when I'm done, you can flip this around and you can bring this over. And there you have it. That's perfect. So there's not a whole lot of work. I mean, there's work to it, and it's kind of tedious, but it's not difficult by any means. A 906 coupler works really well. As was stated in the research that I did, I'm happy with it. All I have to do now is take these other pieces that I've already drilled out, and I plan to paint these once I get them in place. I'll use that, I think it's called Purple Fusion. It's supposed to be real good for any kind of plastics and styrene. This is it here, Plastic Fusion. Down here. Plastic Fusion, fast setting. It's a super glue, but it's an epoxy. And I'm gonna try it. I got it on Amazon, but when I was looking and doing research on YouTube for styrene, and I'm talking about people that actually put, you know, they build buildings with styrene, that's what they recommended. So we'll see how that works. But couple of sheets of 40 thousandths inch styrene, or you can go online and find it in 80 or 90 thousandths of an inch. I prefer or suggest that you do both. I think the intermodal cars do 80 thousandths, and I think the autorack cars probably better off with 90 thousandths of an inch. Those would work. Anyway, that's about it. Still new at these videos, so hopefully you got something out of it.